Big Z Reviews. Hi, my name's Brandon Zarzyczny, but you can call me Big Z, and today I'm doing a book review of the series Solo Leveling. And this is a Korean light novel that was written by Chugong that is also been adapted into like a graphic novel. Like it would be like a manga, but it's from South Korea, and it's actually you read it from left to right, like a normal like an English book. You don't need it from right to left like a manga. And that one was illustrated by Sung-rak, aka Dubu, the CEO of Redice Studios, who actually unfortunately had like a brain aneurysm and died last year. But like I started out like essentially I was at Target. They had like a buy one get one half off deal on all their books, and I had finished reading all of Chainsaw Man, and I was kind of looking to see if there was anything else that looked interesting on their manga shelf that I could buy like on sale. And I thought this looked really cool. Like, and I started off with that, and I really enjoyed it. And then I actually like I got up to like book four of the graphic novel, and I think that now then book five after that. But I got to the end, and I was like, I kind of want to read more of this. So I saw that there was like the novelization is how it started out. I guess it's like a web novel, but like they call it like a light novel, and I really enjoyed reading this too. And that's up to book seven. I think book eight is coming in English, and I think that should be like the final book. I think next month. But it's just kind of like a really interesting world that I honestly thoroughly enjoyed reading. And it was interesting to kind of read both of them. They started out with like having like the visual of the characters, and then I kind of read the novelization, and it's interesting because they're very similar because obviously like you see stuff straight from it, like like straight like everything the words they say is exactly the same, but like some stuff they like leave out or dumb down for the illustration, and other stuff they add for the illustration. Like especially I noticed in the newest version of it, like there was stuff like there other characters were coming in that weren't that important to like the main part of the story. So like the light novel like just mentioned that there were Japanese hunters there, but then like the graphic novel like created characters for all of the hunters that were there. Like and it's kind of interesting because like it's definitely, and also to the actual light novel is like it's almost a little heavier. Like there's stuff that like let's just say there's I have a feeling that Japan has a history of not being kind to its neighbors in the past couple millennia. They occupied Korea different times in history and weren't very nice, let's just say. And I know Japan was horrible in World War II, especially in China, but I think there is a lot of stuff in Korea too. And like there's a couple stuff with this character like in not helping Japan, and like there's stuff like Japan is like kind of evil. They're like scheming behind the scenes, and there's a lot of drama there. And like for the graphic novel, they kind of left that out because it doesn't like you don't have to do that, and it kind of makes sense. But I mean, this is a really cool world because essentially this is like a decade ago or so the world changed. It's kind of like almost like an urban fantasy world where like all of a sudden these gateways started to open, and these portals started to open on different the places in the world. And then at the same time human beings started to gain powers, like essentially like a role playing game where like they'd be a healer, they'd be like a magic user, they'd be a fighter, they'd be a tank, they'd be like an assassin. There's like all the sort of classes you'd see in like a role playing game, like an MMORPG. they kind of like they would get these powers, and like they would have different levels though. They'd have like the lowest level hunter would be like an E, and the highest rated hunter would be like an S rated hunter, and essentially like. And there's also the ranking as essentially just how much mana they can hold, but the same rankings would be in these portals to where the different worlds and different dungeons. It'd be like you have like an E rank portal, C rank portal, an A rank portal, and very seldomly you have an S rank portal. And essentially, like the hunters, but like the monsters in these portals cannot be damaged by guns or anything like that. They can only be damaged by weapons with mana, and that like so like the hunters they have to go in and defeat the boss of these dungeons, or else you would have a dungeon break where like essentially all the monsters in this dungeon can come out into our world and wreak havoc, especially because like nothing can really hurt them except for other hunters that are powerful enough. And in this world, kind of, you can't level up. It's not like a game. Essentially, however strong you are when you're awakened is how strong you're always going to be. Like you can get more powerful by getting like better items, better weapons and armor, and different like you can find like ability stones and stuff. But essentially, if you're awakened as a C rank hunter, you're always going to be a C rank hunter. Like there's a very few cases of like reawakenings, but essentially it's super rare. So then we were introduced to our main character in this story, and that is Jin-woo. That's pictured here. But essentially he is the weakest hunter in Korea. Like he is an E rank hunter, but he has to keep hunting even though even like a D rank dungeon could be deadly for him. But he is part of like the government agency of hunters, the Hunter Association. That's kind of like because the higher ranked dungeons are actually worth a lot of money, and like the hunters are actually become like the new celebrities essentially, but they're also can be like super powered celebrities, and they can be incredibly dangerous. Some like the most powerful hunters can like demolish a city with their powers. But he like essentially the Hunter Association kind of they deal with a lot of like the other smaller dungeons, weaker dungeons, because like even if it's an E rank dungeon, if it's a dungeon break, they could kill a bunch of normal people in the city. So like, but he is part of like a Hunter Association because like his mother is in a coma. Essentially, that's something that like also along with that when magic came into the world, they're like also like some people that were like allergic to the magic had like this sleeping sickness that they fall asleep and never wake up. But like the treatment for it, they keep them alive, but it's very expensive. But if he's part of the Hunters Association, he gets free health care. So like he keeps going on dungeon raids and almost dying over and over and over and over and over again because he can pay for his mother's health care, and also the little bit of money he can get, he can help pay hopefully for his little sister's education. And that like so that it's a really interesting character because he's weak, but he has he's smart, and he has a strong willpower, but he just doesn't have the ability to have a lot of mana and be powerful. But this book is definitely a bit of a power fantasy because essentially he gets into this. It's supposed to be like a D rank or C rank dungeon, and it's supposed to be nothing big. But then inside the dungeon, there's it's like a double dungeon. There's a dungeon inside of a dungeon, and they go in there, and it's like something different. And that's like the first book, the first novelization is all about that. And it's like when I first was reading it, it was just the art is like almost like, especially the first one is almost like horror, like because like there are these like statues that are just deadly, and they have all the hunters that even the most powerful part of the group, they can't deal with them. The giant statue is, and then it's like with laser eyes, and they have to figure out the only one that can save them is Jin-woo, because he can kind of like his perception is really high, and you figure out what the game is, how to save their group, and but like at the end he has sacrifices himself, but then he gets this alert. It's like this like text box pops up in his field of view, which is like it's like from a video game saying that, hey, you have fulfilled all requirements to complete a secret quest, Courage of the Weak, and that's like, and it's like, if you accept this this thing, you'll become a player. Do you accept? And then it's like, okay, congratulations on becoming a player. And like he is like revived, like he wakes up like in a hospital, and he's like he had like I love the first book especially has like a lot of almost like a bit of horror in it. Like the rest of the book doesn't really have much of that because he becomes super powered, but like the first book is really well done, like art and everything. I really like that, really grabbed me. But like he's like all of his injuries are magically healed, like more than even their magic could normally do. Like even an S rank hunter would have trouble doing what was done here. And like that, it becomes the whole idea where he is the only hunter in the world that is actually able to level up, like it's a video game. And like I really like in the light novel is, I think I've never read a light novel before. I think I've read one thing that was kind of inspired by, I think, but like the idea is like, I think I've watched like the Thor. It's almost kind of like that. Some other animes and light novels and manga where like the characters are inside a virtual reality, and like where they're stuck in there, and if they die in there, they die in the real world, and like they have to level up. Like it's like that, but it's in the kind of the real world in the book, and he's the only one that can do it, and he's the only one that can see these messages from the system. And all of that stuff is really interesting. And but like it's funny in the light novel, like he like, I feel like I had a little bit of trouble grasping a hold of his character, like more than in the graphic novel, because but at a certain point, like once like 4 or 5 books in, I kind of realized that I think that this character is kind of on the autism spectrum. Like he is very like obsessive. Like he always, and he obsesses over the leveling up, and like he loves the number, like number 5 or 0. Like he always wants to like have it look good in his stat sheet, and it's interesting. But at the same time, like he like as he levels up, like he gets built. He doesn't look at all like he used to be. He's strong. He's like taller. He's like completely changed as his stats go up, and like he all of, let's say that's where the power fantasy comes in, and definitely like all of the girls he meets, they all fawn over him, but he has absolutely no idea. He has like no concept of how to talk to anyone. That's like saying like his social interactions are so kind of odd, and I think that's because I think he's on the autism spectrum. He's like high functioning autistic. And but like it's that perfect character to be in a real world game where we're the only one that can level up, and like you become the strongest hunter in the world. And there's definitely like, even especially in the light novel, maybe more than the graphic novel, is that like there's a bit of nationalism, where making Korea the strongest country in the world, but then that comes into contact especially with Japan. But like it's also all the like America. It's kind of funny because America I always feel like with South Korea, they all love things that are American. I don't know, like that. I always heard that it's interesting. They think that they're better than their stuff. Like like the richer people buy stuff from America, and there's a big relationship because like we are kind of the thing that's preventing North Korea from nuking them is knowing that if they do, we'll nuke them into obliteration. As actually was just announced today with Biden saying if they fired a nuke on any of our allies, that would be the end of North Korea. It would be wiped off the face of the earth. But like because like essentially it comes in like where at a certain point like he gets so strong and the Americans kind of want to give him all stuff to come over to America and join America and leave Korea, and but like there is little bit some interesting stuff, but like at the same time, you know, I like a power fantasy. Power fantasies can be interesting to read, you know. I definitely do think though that the world building is delivered so slowly and like bit by bit, and like you don't even know like what like it's tough. I think I could talk about more the world building and what's behind all of the gateways and what's going on, the system and everything. But to me, that's kind of be like a full spoiler because like you don't really know what's going on until like book 5 or book 6, and they're like for the graphic novels, even though like they look like about the same size, like they're about like 1.5 to 2.5 of the graphic novel versions. So like, and you're only up to in America, you're only up to book 5 in the graphic novels. So that's like where I am. That's probably like book 12 or further than that. So I like it's like the actual like what's behind everything and what's the actual world building is not gone into until so far in the future. Like I feel weird. I don't want to spoil it. Like if you're watching this and you're only reading the graphic novel, like that, if I talked about it, it would kind of be a full spoiler. But it's interesting. It's a little. It's kind of like it's it feels if you knew it earlier, it wouldn't hurt anything. A lot of it, like what the system is, would hurt because there's like some twists and turns with like what the system is and what this whole leveling up thing is all about. And I actually really like those twists and turns. But like for especially, but it's funny though. The story is a little basic, but like I love whenever he's going on these like big missions. Like he has like stuff. It's all about leveling up, and if he has like different. The system has different special dungeons for him to do that they create for him, and there's a lot of fun stuff. And I always like when he has like a tough battle and it's written really well and it's illustrated really well too. And I know it's going to be really cool. I think they're making an anime that I think it's supposed to come out in 2024 or something like that. But I think it'd be really cool. But it's at the same time it's like some of the story is a little bit basic, but I think too it's hampered a bit by power creep. Essentially, because he levels up so much so quickly, as like at a certain point he's already like one of the strongest beings on the planet. So that like sometimes like the battles he has aren't as interesting. But it's really cool like when he becomes, even this is a slight spoiler because that happens later, but he becomes like this shadow monarch, which is like kind of like a necromancer, and that's like it's really good for his solo leveling because he's like all this stuff he's doing by himself. He can raise the souls of his conquered enemies as like companions as his army, and like it's kind of funny though, but like he feels the closest to his shadow soldiers. It's like as they get higher and higher level, they actually at a certain point his generals can actually like speak to him, and they have like full consciousness. And there's some really interesting stuff. But at the same time, like it's like he has to pretty early on he has to kill humans because they're like lizards where like he's part of some groups that like to take on people, and then if something good happens they just kill them and take all and reap all the benefits. And he has to, like, the system says like you have to kill them all or this will be the end of the game or something like that. And this but like he's very quick to he's okay with killing. And then it's especially in the novelization again, it's even more so. Like it still happens in the graphic novel, but they try to give more of a reason why he has to. You know what I mean? I don't know if any of it has to be like with the translation, but it's a simple read. There's nothing that difficult, but it flows well. Like it's a really quick read. Like I could read like one a day in the novelizations, and I wasn't spending that much time reading. but like they are, I still, once it's tough to put down because it really flowed well and I enjoyed reading it. But like it definitely, he truly believes Chugong, truly believes in Chekhov's gun, because if he can put his shadow soldiers, he can attach them to other people's shadows to help protect them. But like if they mention at any time that he placed a shadow somewhere, that was definitely going to come into play. Like anytime they mention something, that is going to come into play. Like anytime there's any random thing they mention or talk about, that is eventually going to come back into play. And it's so funny that like two times where things were set up that I was kind of really looking forward to, but they didn't do anything with. I was like, oh man, I kind of want to see what had happened. And once the one actually the author knew that essentially there was like he is like the part of his missions that he has to do every day. He has to for fitness, he has to run 10 kilometers, do 100 push-ups, and do 100 sit-ups. And if he doesn't do it, he has like a punishment zone. And of course, it's really kind of funny the first time when he's still like an E rank hunter and like level 1, he is like they're like these deadly monsters. But at a certain point, he uses the punishment zone to level up to survive this really difficult area he's doing. And so it's like really kind of cool. Like he's playing the game. He's playing he's playing the game really well. And it's so kind of fun how he gets around everything. But like he said, like the system tells him because you use the punishment zone to level up, the next time you're here, everything will be much more difficult to be an actual punishment. And now I was like, ooh, what's gonna be there? That could actually be a punishment for him now. Of course, it's like when I'm now in like book 7, like right before the final when the final battles, he's like has time to kill, and he's like, should I do the punishment zone? I'm like, no, I shouldn't do that. It might be too difficult. It might kill me. I can't die before the final battle. And I was like, ah, shit, come on. I wanted to see that. And the other thing, too, is that, again, along with the whole idea of him be the power fantasy and how all the men want to be his friends and all the women want to bang him. Like, he even, he has this, this area that the system takes him to, like, the demon world. And that's he has to climb the 100 levels and defeat all the demons and defeat the demon monarch at the end. But at a certain point, he's sees this demon lord or this demon princess, and I guess of course she is infatuated with him too. But he doesn't kill her because she begs forgiveness for attacking him, and it's interesting stuff because he can be so brutal, but he has a treaty with them. He says, hey, if you help me with the other levels, I won't kill you or your family. And it's like, oh jeez. And then she wants to help him do the same thing with the other demon lords, that they would probably accept other things too. And it's like, no, only for you. I'm killing everyone else. They're only helping me level up. I'm gonna murder everyone. And it's like whoa. But it's an interesting point where he's where the system tells him that she joined his party, and that while she's a member of his party, she can level up corresponding to how much she contributes to the fights. And the whole thing is that all that comes of it is him saying that don't take any of my kills. I need the experience. But I was so interested in that concept that if the other hunters, throughout the story, there were a lot of interesting other Korean hunters that he meets and joins up with and does stuff with. I really enjoyed and really liked. Part of me, I love a story in a video game where you collect a party. You collect a group of friends and warriors together, and you go and fight the world, I love that shit. Mass Effect, Suikoden, Dragon Age, Final Fantasy, all that stuff. I love it. And I couldn't help but want him, even though he's all about solo leveling, I would love if he would have had some groups there and they could have leveled up too. There's so much interesting things that they didn't they had never, like, I think there's one book left, but the whole time they never really, that never really developed. I just wonder if that, like, maybe when he was writing it, he had ideas for it, but then didn't end up doing them. But still, like, I haven't finished the story because, like I said, I think there's probably one more book in the English version that's coming out next month, and then there's like, wow, 10 more books of the graphic novel that are gonna take years to come out, and there's an anime coming. So I don't know, like I can't say fully, but I loved my time with it. It's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend it. I think I definitely especially recommend the graphic novels. They are very readable and the art is amazing. Like I think it's all digital art, but like it looks really cool. I really liked the art style. And I would recommend the novelization too, but again it's a little harsher. Like he's more of a harsh character, and but it's interesting. He's an interesting character, and there's a lot of really cool stuff in this. And I love the idea of like leveling up in the real world. It's like only he can do it. Like it's interesting, and it's a lot. Like it's a good time. I would recommend. I probably give like a 9 out of 10. But thanks for watching. If you want to see any more of me, you can subscribe down below. Thanks.